It's Wednesday night, and we're back live on the Big Mountain.
Welcome back to the Big Mountain. JY and Steve, we're doing it virtually. JY's away. Steve's back in the homestead. And you know us, we got to do a live show, Steve, and especially the week after the Mountain West Media Days. I want to know from you. We haven't talked much here the past couple days. Have you come down from cloud nine? Or are you still like, what the heck just happened last week?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just again just enjoyed everything. It was amazing the reception that the Mountain West gave to us. Like I felt like we were kind of like the honored guest there, and maybe they treat everybody like that, or maybe they were just happy to have the Big Mountain there. I don't know, but it was just fantastic, and to get to meet all those people in person. And then I gotta say, I was super happy for you watching you get to interview, the Cowboys coach and all that stuff. It was just awesome moments. And again, just talking to the players and the coaches, getting to know them, having a few minutes with Gloria. She was very busy. Gloria Navarez, commissioner of the Mountain West, very, very busy going and talking to everybody there. But it was just awesome. And now I'm kind of in the mode I'm thinking of, what are we going to do next year? How can we make this better? I'm already switching to that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I am, as I said, I'm away. I am down at Cape May, New Jersey. We're doing this remotely. I'm actually trying to get onto our live podcast so that I can see our commenters, and I'm struggling to find it, but I will get there eventually. I think, Steve, we've got some things to talk about tonight. We have the Big Ten Media Days that you have an update on. We've got, I want to talk to you, I want to hear your opinion on this Memphis Big 12 issue that's going on. I did a X space with Immaculate last evening on that. I want to get your opinion. We want to talk about the American, enough of this AAC stuff, the American, and I want to hear what your thoughts. And then we're going to get into just the Mountain West Media Days. Would love to hear from dwellers, any questions that they have, any comments that they have. We'll save that to the end because that'll probably be the most interactive segment that we have. But you want to get started on the Big Ten stuff?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, Big Ten Media Days, they're in Las Vegas as well. We thought about maybe just staying over another week and hanging out for the Big Ten Media Days. They're in Mandalay Bay. We were in the Circa, which was fantastic. Big Ten, they're a little bit big time, I guess. So they're over in Mandalay Bay. Setup looks actually, I looked at a lot of pictures, looks very similar to what we saw in the Circa, with the conference rooms and everything and all the coaches. So they're all coming together. I think this is day two of Big Ten Media Days. And so far, just a great day watching all the coaches. I try to catch all the coaches' statements and everything. And not really much news coming out of the Big Ten right now. Everything's just kind of stable. The last couple years it was, integrating those West Coast teams in. Now everything just kind of seems stable and calm. However, I will say, Curt Signetti, we're going to get to him in a little bit. He was probably the biggest newsmaker. But first, I'm going to go in. Basically, the Big Ten stopped doing their media polls, so some other outlets have done one. And Cleveland.com, they kind of aggregated a media poll, asked all the media reporters, beat reporters for all the different teams together. So I think we're going to throw that up on the screen. And I'm just bringing this up. I'm going to go through the teams. I'm going to list them 1 through 18, and we can maybe just talk about any surprises, anything we think there. So first, coming out, a little bit of a surprise. If 6 months ago you would have told me Penn State was the number one team in this poll coming in, I think I would have been surprised. But the narrative all summer has just been how much Penn State has coming back, and how Ohio State and Oregon are kind of rebuilding, bringing in new starting quarterbacks. So we got Penn State at number one, Ohio State at two, three Oregon. I love seeing Illinois get that love at four. I've been on them since the end of last season. Luke Altmaier coming back. I think he's one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks, and one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Michigan at five. I think it's a little high. I think that's more on brand than anything. Love seeing Indiana there at six. I'd probably flip those two. I'm interested to see what you think. Um, Iowa at seven. Iowa, they are what they are. They're always, relatively strong, but just kind of in the middle. Nebraska at eight, USC at nine, Washington at 10. I think they have a chance to be a riser this year. 11 Minnesota. I'm expecting good things for them. 12 Wisconsin. I think they're going to drop down into the bottom three as the season goes on. They have one of the hardest schedules in the country. Michigan State at 13, tied with Rutgers at 13, and then UCLA 15. And then the bottom dwellers here, Maryland at 16, Northwestern at 17, Purdue at 18. Those really aren't surprising. I think Washington will be a riser. Wisconsin will be a dropper. What are your thoughts, JY?
Yeah, well, I'm with you on the Indiana Michigan flip flop, 100%. I like to see Illinois as high as they are. You've been on them for months, and if people got those bets in early, I know I did. Thanks to you, Steve. I'm feeling really good. I went pretty heavy on Illinois over the wins there. We're getting so close to giving betting picks on our live shows. That's why we started this channel, believe it or not. And we'll be doing that for the Big Ten and Mountain West. So I love that over win number for Illinois. Michigan's Michigan. I'm with you. I think they've got the name. I think Curt Signetti in Indiana. I'm interested to see what happens there. Without Curtis Rourke, I think he was a dramatic improvement at quarterback for them. I think he fit that system really well. But I think Curt Signetti, through the transfer portal and everything he's done, I don't think they have much of a drop off. I think Indiana is going to become one of the big boys in the Big Ten. You were on that early here in year one. And they shot so far up, it's hard to maintain that, right? So I'm still waiting maybe for the shoe to drop with Michigan. You've talked about that, Steve. We have not heard the last of the issues that they're having. Honestly, this may be, and I want to hear from you on this. Let's talk about Penn State a little bit. Is this maybe the best team that they've had for the year that they could have to push this sucker to a national championship in the recent history? And I'm not trying to put pressure on them, but is this literally the best chance that they've had in a very long time? Or is this the Penn State that we all have known for forever? They're maybe a top 10-ish team, but they can't win those big games. Is this the year they can do it, Steve? I want to know.
Well, I think definitely I feel like this is the deepest combination of talent and experience that James Franklin has had at Penn State. Probably, honestly, it best compares to the 2016 and 2017 teams that had Barkley, Trace McSorley, Godwin, all those guys, Gesicki. But those teams weren't as experienced. In 16, Trace McSorley was a first-year starter. Even Barkley was just a second-year player. This year they have Singleton and Katron Allen coming back as fourth year, basically starting running backs. Their offensive line has 8 guys that have started games and basically 8 starters for 5 positions, which is pretty amazing. Drew Aller coming back for his 4th season, last year of eligibility. So definitely, I mean, this is the year that it has set up the best year under, it sets up for the best year under James Franklin. And honestly, Penn State has a pretty favorable schedule this year. They have Oregon at home for the whiteout. They do travel to Ohio State. That's a tough game every year, whether it's in Happy Valley or in the Shoe in Columbus. But the rest of their schedule sets up pretty favorable. So yeah, for sure. This is the one year where you can say they're talent-wise, they're right there with Ohio State and Oregon. And experience-wise, they might be a little bit better. So we'll see. I mean, talk is cheap until they do it on the field. I mean, that's the way it is. I could definitely see them this year, and I'm gonna go through later on and later on this month and in August, I'm gonna do over and unders picks for every single Big Ten team, and I'm gonna do exact record predictions for every Big Ten team. So I won't give a prediction right now, but you're right, they're lined up. And I don't even know if it's necessarily pressure, but the expectations are on Penn State this year, national expectations, not just their own fans, for sure. And then Michigan, like you said, we're waiting to see what happens. Everything I hear is that we will find out something of the punishment of what the NCAA wants to give them before the season starts. We'll see if there's appeals or whatever on that. And I really think this year, 2 teams rebuilding, Ohio State and Oregon, very talented teams, but coming in with new starting quarterbacks, inexperience. That's why they're taking maybe a half step back to where they normally are. And then the two up and coming teams, Illinois and Indiana, again. I think both teams could potentially hit double digit wins this year. Very solid. You mentioned Curtis Rourke, who we both loved last year. We were on him from the beginning, and he performed great. Looks like he performed that well on a completely torn ACL for
Yeah.
most, if not all, of the season. So they were talking about that today during media days. But I like they have Mendoza coming in from Cal, who I think honestly just as experienced as O'Rourke, could be just as talented and maybe more of a dynamic athlete. And hopefully he has two intact ACLs. We'll hope for that. I think he could even be better than O'Rourke was last year. So or Curtis Rourke was last year. So I expect big things for them. Again, like last year, I think they're going to compete for that like third or fourth playoff spot, Big Ten playoff spot. So we'll see how that goes. Was there anything else you asked me to comment on? I can't remember.
No, it was mainly that, I wanna, I really want to focus on Aller because I'm not a huge Aller fan, and I want him to prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. But this is the year that he has to prove me wrong because to me, he's one of those guys that can play great in the medium to easy games. When push comes to shove, he just doesn't have it to push them over the top. And maybe I'm being too hard on him. I know you and I maybe disagree on this slightly, but this is the year where he has got to be the guy to be the difference maker. It can't be the running backs anymore. It can't be the defense anymore. If you want to be a national champion, you need to have a quarterback that's a national champion. So for me, that's where the difference lies with Penn State. And with Ohio State, I mean, they just are who they are. Like they're every year they retool, they rebuild, they do their thing. And Oregon, we're gonna see. I'm anxious to see Oregon this year. The quarterback change is going to be a little different for them. I'm a big Dan Lanning fan. I'm a huge Curt Signetti fan, but I think you're really onto something with Illinois. That with their schedule, it could be really interesting. I think Illinois could be the Indiana of last year, and that's not a knock on Indiana. It's just a scheduling type of situation that more than anything. I love Altmaier. So yeah, I'm more just singing your praises, Steve, than frankly anything. And I know you have more to talk about. Let me know when I can get to some of the people in the chat because I want to give some shout outs, but I think you have more you want to talk about.
Yeah, well, before I move on to my next Big Ten topic, I'll respond to what you said regarding Aller. I mean, I think that's what everybody's looking for is him to just take that next step. And I think that there's maybe an unfair perspective. If you look at his numbers, his progression from sophomore to junior year, he made leaps and bounds improvements, uh, percentages, completion percentages, everything. And had a really good season last season. But yes, in certain games, especially Ohio State, which who had a top 3, 4 defense in the country, the Notre Dame game where he throws that interception at the end, which again, that's what Notre Dame did all year last year, making opposing quarterbacks look terrible. That's what they were good at. They had a top 5 defense. They made Georgia look silly. Georgia and their quarterback looked pretty silly as well. But he needs to take that next step. Now, where I will push back, I don't think that he has to take a giant leap forward. I think it's just little things he can do a little bit better, end game situations. He needs to keep performing really the way he was, but maybe just one notch a little better. But Penn State's strength this year is going to be that running game, that offensive line, and I think, and I agree with you, you got to have a top flight quarterback, but their offensive line, those 2 running backs coming back last year, coming back next year, this year, they are going to be the strength of that team and that defense, but they are going to need Aller to make plays here and there, which famously in that Notre Dame game there was no completions to the wide receivers. And pretty much everybody was tearing up the Penn State wide receivers last year. They bring in three transfers, two of the top portal transfers. So we'll see. He should have the weapons this year. He has the running game. And for me, I think it's just marginal improvement that he needs. Just go that extra, one or two extra completions to keep the chains moving, maybe an extra touchdown pass. We saw last year flashes. The USC game where they went on the road, they were down. He completed two fourth down and long passes to keep the chains moving on that game-winning touchdown drive. Oregon game, I mean, just completing some passes that there's like 10 people in the world, including NFL quarterbacks, can make, dropping bombs. But in a couple of the other games, Boise did a great job of putting pressure on him with all those blitzes. Notre Dame and Ohio State did a good job of shutting him down. That's where he needs to take that next step this year. So I'll agree with you. I agree with you somewhat, but push back a little bit on some of that. And I would say now's a good time before I move to my next Big Ten topic. If you want to hit up some of the chat.
Yeah, for sure. And please push back on me. We agree, I think, far too much on this channel. We should get into fisticuffs a little bit more. You kick my ass. But I want to give a little couple hellos. So Big Mama, I think, was first in here. We've got great Go Big Red, welcome cellar dwellers, using the terminology that we set here a few weeks ago. We've got Jerry saying, thank you for the coverage of the media days. Incredibly good. He appreciates that. We've got Bill in here. Greetings from Nashville, Tennessee. Fantastic city. I want to go back. Matthew Muldoon, Wednesday night with the fellas. Great to have you on. We've got Steven here as well. We've got DJ on. We've got a bunch of our normal people. We've got Tommy Gunn.
Tommy.
Absolutely. And Las Vegas Larry. He's saying, hello, fellas.
Larry.
Two of our guys, and I haven't gotten through the whole chat, but two of the few people, I'm sure maybe Sergeant's on here. Let me see if Sergeant's on here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Yep. Oh, no, wait. No, wait. I don't see Sergeant yet, but that's okay. Sergeant's always a good dude to join us. But Las Vegas Larry, our first member on the channel, we've got Tommy Gunn, who met us at Beer Zombies there in Vegas. Shout out to everybody that gave us an awesome kind of happy hour there at Beer Zombies. We had several people here, or dwellers, I should say, here join us, and it was great. And a big shout out to Tommy Gunn because he gave us a ride back to the Circa, which was very nice. Saved us a few bucks there with an Uber drive. We have Justin in here. He is a member as well. He loved the Mountain West Media Days content. Thank you guys so much. We went for it, Steve. We went for it. We're going to get to a debrief on that here shortly, but so stick with us here a little bit because we're going to get to the Mountain West Media Days. If you have questions on that, please save them for that portion of our live show so that we can maybe answer all of those questions. But just wanted to give a quick shout out. Rumbling CDS is with us. He's a good dweller. Atomic Skull. Let me see who else is here. Of course, JEH. I can't miss JEH. Immaculate is with us. Fia is with us. Brady Moon is with us. Surf City Bill. And my goodness, I got to stop because I'll miss some people. But thank you guys so much. I know we had a lot of love from everything with the Mountain West Media Days, and we'll talk about that later on. But you have some more Big Ten information, Steve.
Yeah, let's go. The Big Ten announced their preseason honorees. So let's go to that. I'm going to go down through this list here. I'll read the names. We should see the graphic on the screen as well. And once you visually see it, you'll see kind of a trend in the Big Ten this year, I think. But I'm going to go through the list. Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier, we already talked about him. One of the most experienced quarterbacks in the country, coming back, had a great season last year, and he's ready to lead this Illini team this year. Also a defensive player in linebacker Gabe Jacobs, I think it is. Indiana with two players, defensive players, Mikhail Kamara, and your boy, defensive back D'Angelo Pons was fantastic last year. I was surprised to see he was coming back. I thought he'd be in the NFL this year. So that's huge having him come back. Iowa with a couple players. They always have a good line there. So offensive tackle Jennings Dunker and center Logan Jones. Even Mini jumps on here with Coy Parrish, good player. I think I pointed him out last year as one of the players to watch. And then Oregon with two players. Defense this year, I think, is actually, Oregon's offense may take a step back, losing Dylan Gabriel and all those wide receivers, but their defense should still be pretty good with linebacker Mateo Ugalele and defensive back Dylan Theinman. And then who do we see here with three players? Ohio State, no surprise. Safety Caleb Downs, who I think is the best, most people think is the best, defensive player in the country. Super talented transfer, came up from Alabama last year and was great for the Buckeyes. And then Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, the only unanimous selection. The dude is the best wide receiver in the country. I think he was last year, probably. Definitely will be this year. Maybe the best player, overall football player in the country. Just amazing talent. Will be in the NFL. I can't wait till he's in the NFL because that means my Nittany Lions will have to play him. And also they have a defensive player on there, linebacker Sonny Styles. So in a year where they are maybe rebuilding their lines on offensive and defense, they got some really talented position players on both sides of the ball. And then also Penn State right there with three players kind of speaks to what we were talking about before. This is kind of maybe the first year where you could say Penn State has equal talent with Ohio State, I think, since James Franklin got there. And this might be just a 1 year thing, so they need to take advantage. But you got quarterback Drew Aller, who we just spoke about at length. Defensive end Denai Dennis Sutton, just super productive. He wasn't talked about, so much last year because of Abdul Carter just flashing as a freak athlete. But Denai, he's equally good in both modes as a pass rusher and a run stopper. Just a great overall defensive end. And then, returning, they have a running back Nicholas Singleton on here. I myself would also have Katron Allen, both 1,000-yard rushers last year, both coming back for their fourth year. Kind of a thunder and lightning package duo. To me, the best returning running back duo in the country. So, definitely getting some honors. Anything that jumps out at you here? Do you see a visual pattern? We have Illinois, we have Indiana, we have Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, obviously visual pattern, it's tough when you have that fire and lightning or whatever you want to call it, running back situation there with Allen and Singleton. Like, who do you pick? Like, they both have their strengths, and they use them differently. I do think Singleton gets kind of that primary spot, just a smidgen ahead of Allen, but they clearly use both of those guys together. But no surprises at all. Like, you kind of know what you're going to get before you get it. So, yeah, no surprises. Steve, real quick, I want to give a quick shout out. Ralph, I missed him. He's giving a hello from Albuquerque. I want to give a really quick shout out. We have a new member, James Delaney. He welcomes everyone to The Peak, another new membership here for the Big Mountain. Thank you, James. And I got some other stuff I'll talk about, but I think you want to keep going on the Big Mountain, so I don't want to stop your momentum.
Well, I would just say one thing that jumped out at me looking at this list, and I don't even know if you noticed, no Michigan players whatsoever.
Yeah.
2 years removed from a national championship team where they were just loaded, got no Michigan players on there. Oh yeah, Big Mountain Koozie. Yeah. So just and really, I mean, who would have thought? Would you ever thought that a preseason Big Ten award list would have two Indiana players and no Michigan players? Like, if I told you that 3 years ago, what would you have thought, JY?
Steve, I'm just promoting Cape May Brewery's tan limes because it's my favorite brew in the whole entire world.
I see the tan limes. I love it.
I totally took a left when you were going right, so I apologize. What were you asking me? Because
no, I was just saying,
you know how JY rolls. JY is on vacation and he's enjoying a Dweller Brew, aka a Cape May tan lime. Sorry, go ahead.
Hey, just take Brett Kavanaugh's lead and say, I like beers. I like
beers, baby.
Beers.
I like beer. Are we allowed to do that? Because somebody said we can't do that on a live podcast. But I say, Utskis. And keep going. I'm sorry, Steve. You're talking football, and I'm worried about my damn beer. Go ahead.
So, So 3 years ago, if I would have told you on a Big Ten
Yeah.
preseason honors list that we had two Indiana players and
Yes.
no Michigan players, you would have laughed at me, right?
Everybody would have laughed at you, not just me. Literally, they would have told you you don't know what you're talking about. You're not a Big Ten guy. You are. I mean, I couldn't. I'm not a big enough troll to tell you everything everyone would say, other than to say that last year you told everybody how good Indiana was going to be. So it's difficult for me to troll you because I respect you far too much. But yes, the trolls would have eaten you alive.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so moving forward here, so we talked about the
Steve,
preseason honor.
you're gonna lose me for a minute because I need to go get another tan limes because I'm on vacation and that's how I roll. So
Okay,
you keep going and I'm gonna fill up my koozie. Okay.
so I'll wrap up my last thought on the preseason honors. I think it just gives you just a good visual of what the expectations are in the Big Ten this year, what we're looking at. Illinois and Indiana continuing to trend upward. Iowa's hanging around, and Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State still very talented teams. They're going to be the contenders probably for that championship #1 overall spot. And maybe an Illinois or an Indiana can sneak in there. So really just want to talk about that and go over the just the talent levels and what the expectations are of their fellow Big Ten media and all that. So all right, so let's move on to the next topic. I think our JY is left for more beer, but our producer's still at the wheel back at home. So we're going to move on to Curt Signetti and some of the quotes today. He made some news today. JY and I very familiar with Curt Signetti. Coming in last year, we told everyone they were going to be good, and this dude just wins everywhere he goes. And as he said, just Google him. So he comes into last season, and his first words at the first pep rally he goes to is Ohio State sucks, Michigan sucks, and we're gonna beat them. That's how he introduced himself last year to the fan base. And you know what? He backed it up at least part ways. They went out and beat Michigan, didn't beat Ohio State. Ohio State just, I mean, they were all world talent last year. A $25 million roster or whatever. But he went out there. I think he kind of like some people maybe chuckled at him at first, like, okay, who's this dude? No one's laughing now. The SEC guys are like, oh my God, who is this guy? Like so last year he made news by going after the SEC or going after Michigan, Ohio State. This year he makes news, makes headlines at Big Ten Media Days, going after the ACC or SEC. There's been some scheduling. I don't think we need to get in the whole scheduling conversation today and how all of that rolls into the CFP. But basically, Indiana changed their schedule a little bit. They dropped off Virginia off the schedule, which Virginia is no powerhouse. I mean, they've just been awful the last couple of years. But a lot of the big programs are changing, modifying their schedules. Indiana did the same. You got to look at them as one of the big programs in the Big Ten now. And they are setting themselves up to be competitive in the Big Ten each year to qualify for a college football playoff spot. So he comes out and he basically says, yeah, I decided we dropped Virginia because I wanted to make our schedule look more like one of those SEC schedules where they're playing two or three FCS teams and blah, blah, blah. Again, the merits of the argument don't matter. It's the fact this dude is the cock of the walk. He's basically putting last year he put Ohio State and Michigan on notice. Now he's putting the SEC on notice, saying, we're the bad guys on the block. We can play with anybody. Give us a chip and a chair, and we got a chance. And I love it because Indiana 2 years ago, nobody thought about them in football really at all. This dude comes in here, he puts everybody on notice. He backed up what his talk was last year, and I expect him to do it this year again.
I love it, Steve. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. I, I'm not going to add a whole lot because I'll get a little too excited, but yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. And yeah, I've seen some shade like on the socials with this whole scheduling thing. And it's like, I like, again, you said it. We're not going to go down that route. You can tit for tat, you can this and that and whatever. Like the fact of the matter is Indiana is here. And I think not only are they here, you're going to learn this year that they're here to stay. This isn't a 1 year wonder type of deal with Indiana. Signetti means business. Signetti has won everywhere he has been, and I love what he has done with the fans. And it's not just BS. It's not just, oh yeah, we're gonna go do this, and then they crap a brick. They literally go and make some noise. And I've got a little history with him in terms of my alma mater, and I want the best for him. And this is why I think most of us love college football. Like, it's not about buying players and buying championships. It's about bringing in the new guy, development, whatever you want to call that. And it is a different level when you're at the Power Two or the Power Four than what it is for Wyoming. But it's still, the little guy trying to get on the main street, if you want to call it that. And I'm all into Indiana. Like, nobody has to sell me anything. And yeah, can I tit for tat what Signetti's doing? I guess you can, but you can tit for tat everybody. I mean, hell, Michigan cheated, for crying out loud. So, like, what are we talking about? Like, I'm all into Indiana. I'm all into Signetti. I want them to be the bull in the china shop, or Illinois this year, or both of them. Like, let's get two bulls in the china shop. Let's shake some stuff up. Like, that's what makes college football fun. That's what makes us want to watch it. That's what makes your betting picks more interesting, your early betting picks more interesting. And let's do this, man. You got me excited. And I'll tell you what, after media days and what you're telling me, like, we're the end of July, we're getting into August. Dude, it is football season. Screw this summer and stuff. Like, let's go, Steve. I'm ready to go, baby.
I'm ready. Last week seeing the uniforms and everything, the helmets, hearing the coaches talk, I was ready. And then this week again, Coach Signetti comes out here, lays down the gauntlet. Let's go. This is football.
Yeah.
This is a man's game. This is a physical game. We're gonna line up one side and the other, and we're gonna hit you in the face. And that's basically what Signetti is saying. And all these teams, they can talk, and he's talking. But again, they backed it up last year. I expect them to back it up again this year. So my favorite coach in college football right now, Curt Signetti, the dude. I mean, a great coach. I think does it the right way as far as with his team, with the discipline and all that kind of stuff, and is one of the few coaches that will speak his mind.
Yes.
Most of these coaches, they're PR trained, and they speak like a PR AI machine. And this dude just comes out here and tells you what he thinks. He tells you like it is. And so far, he's backed it up. So I'm ready. I'm ready to go for football season.
Let's go. We're going to be taking some picks here shortly. So, a couple things. We've got Thea saying that he saw JY was fighting some trolls this week on X.
Oh,
I've actually kind of given up on the trolls. Like, I just let them do their thing. Like, it's not worth it. I'm really trying to take your advice, Steve. Like, it's just let them do their thing. Yeah, it's just not worth it. Tommy Gunn asks how the two T-shirts are fitting you. Shout out to Tommy Gunn. Next week when we're back in studio, aka my basement, we're gonna do all things swag related. We got awesome swag from UNLV themselves. Mark, the Sin. Is it Sin? Is that right, Steve? Am I saying that right?
SID. Just say SID.
Yeah, that's IV.
Yeah.
Okay, Sin. I didn't think that sounded right. But we got Tommy Gunn gave us a shirt. We got a book from Sergeant Morhew. We got hats galore. We got coins. We got all kinds of stuff for UNLV. So I didn't bring that down to the beach with me. But we will do all of that next week. Thank you, Tommy Gunn, for giving me my second UNLV shirt. I much appreciate that. Steve and I did a UNLV tour, facility tour on Friday, and that'll come out probably early next week. And it was awesome. Steve, let me just tell you, it's going to blow my Texas State facility tour away, because Steve is the man when it comes to video and photo and getting interviews. I, on the other hand, I'm just like, oh, this is cool. And I just kind of walk around and take a look. Steve crushed it, and we're going to have an awesome UNLV facility tour. So shout out to Tommy Gunn, who gave us a few shirts.
Can I say Tommy Gunn, awesome dude.
Super
Really
cool.
kind
Oh,
of gave us really taught us a lot about Vegas and stuff. Like I can't wait to go hang out with those guys again. That was awesome, and that UNLV tour was awesome. And really, my inspiration for taking all that video and stuff was I knew our producer, the Wizard PWB at home. I wanted to give him and raw materials to work with, to work his magic. He just worked his magic. We just posted a Mountain West recap video that our producer worked his magic on. I thought it was fantastic. I can't wait to see what he does with that. The content, all the raw material there to put into a great video. And how about UNLV, man? They were again just so such great hosts that we literally I told you I'm just gonna walk around and record everything until someone says, "Hey, don't record that," and they never did. I mean,
No, that's what we did.
yeah, we had access to pretty much everything in those facilities. The NBA Summer League was going on. We had NBA players playing in there. Everything was so cool. We saw the men's basketball facilities, the women's basketball, the football, and I was amazed. And maybe we're going to talk about this later, but I was just amazed at the quality of the facilities.
Yeah.
And it was a great time. I can't wait till we get that video out.
Yep. And so I see, what is it, Matthew saying, can someone explain to me as a 40-year-old idiot how to become a member and support these guys? That's a great question, Matthew. Apparently, James knows how to do it. He says, hit the button and it'll pop up. We should know to tell you what to do. And quite frankly, I don't know what to tell you what to do, but there's a way to become a member of these 40-year-old idiots to support the channel. I appreciate you both, James and Matthew. Thank you so much.
So I do know you need to be logged into YouTube. That's the first
Okay.
thing. You need to be logged in. You need to have a profile and all that stuff. And then when I've gone on and watched our videos the last week, it will comes up when I'm logged in. It comes up and asks me, "Do you want to become a member?" Down the bottom left corner comes up and asks me, "Do you want to become a member and support the Big Mountain?" So that would be the first step. Get logged into YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you can use the same login credentials, and then it might come up and just pop up and ask you, "Do you want to become a member?"
Well, thank you guys so much. For those that have, I think we're getting close to 10 members. And Las Vegas Larry is the first that got his Pilsner glass because I was able to hand deliver that to him. I got to get out to Just Justin as well, and anybody that takes the Peak membership. And just remember, please, this is not to put money in our pockets. This is absolutely to give you guys the content that we did this past week with the Mountain West Media Days and everything else that we have planned in the future. We are hopeful that we can maybe someday make it to the Big Ten Media Days, maybe next year, maybe the year after. But you know how it is. We just kind of grow as we can, and we'll do what we do. But Steve, we got a couple items this week that kind of came up. We've got the Memphis issue. We've got the American. No more AAC. You know how I am. I get tongue-tied. You don't have to help me get tongue-tied because it just happens because I'm a freaking idiot. The ACC and the AAC. So let's start with Memphis first, Steve. I talked to Immaculate about this on X with a space about what they tried to do here with the Big 12. Now, I want to be clear. This didn't happen like yesterday. This was, I don't want to say old news, but this happened a little bit ago with the Memphis Big 12 issue. And I want to hear what your thoughts are here with Memphis, and then we'll talk about the American.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just see with the changes in governance and everything going on, you almost see a game of musical chairs going on. Everybody is trying to get a spot in what they in the A4, what they think is going to be, whether you want to call it a super league or whatever.
Yeah.
You see people are taking their shots at trying to get into the A4. And that was Memphis, and I don't have any problem with what they did, what they offered. I still think that going forward that they're going to have an opportunity into the ACC. But the ACC that it may be a weakened ACC that loses the top 5, 6 members. Who knows? They saw an opportunity with the Big 12. They shot their shot. Didn't work out for now. But I see Memphis as one of those teams that's going to get a shot into the A4 with their corporate sponsorship, FedEx, and all that going on. and the results they've been able to put up on the field. I think they're going to get their shot eventually. They tried. I give them credit for trying. I don't. I felt like some people were criticizing them, making fun of them, like, "Oh, you tried to buy your way in." That's what everybody's doing. You got to show your value.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I mean, SMU bought their way into the ACC, and then they went through and basically ran the table in that conference and got to the conference championship game. So that's the deal right now. At the highest levels, it's about money and power. They tried, and it didn't work out this time. But I think event between now and 2031, let's say, they will get a spot in the A4, in my opinion.
I agree. I think it's, and I want to hear from you because I asked Immaculate this. I don't know if he's still on or not. I know he was on a little bit earlier. The timing is so interesting. Now I get it. The reporting of this is not the same timing of when this happened. We don't know exactly the timeline of when this happened, but what I said with him was like, there's with the governance issue that's going on, the A4, those that are within the A4 want to hold fort. They don't want to do anything right now. They want to wait and see what's going to happen. They want control X, Y, and Z. Those that are not in the A4 want to get into the A4, quite frankly, at all costs, right? Like, so is the timing of this governance thing pretty telling to what may be coming? Well, I shouldn't say what may be coming, but why there's like this push from Memphis or whomever to try to get to an A4 conference today. Like, is that part of this in your mind, or does that not really matter?
I think so. I think that's just added. I mean, everybody wants to get to the A4, but I think right now, and we've seen this governance stuff coming for a while. Immaculate's talked about it. I think there's just a little extra. I don't know if you want to call it pressure or motivation, that people think we need to get our spot in the A4 now, or we may never get it. They may close the doors to the club, and we may not get in the club if we don't get now. So I still think they have an opportunity, but I think a lot of schools are feeling that pressure. We saw over the last 4 or 5 years, we saw, those with Cincinnati and UCF and Houston get their spots in the Big 12. I think there's just a little added pressure due to the timing, and due to everything that's going on with governance, and we can all just see the power and the money consolidating at the top, and everybody wants a spot on that carousel before it stops spinning.
Agree with you. And I don't think it's a negative on either side of it. I think, and you said it earlier, it was said by Immaculate. It was said, I think, by the Big 12. It's not a no forever. It's a no for now. And the no for now could be 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. We don't know what the no for now is. And I think too many people maybe jump to the conclusion that, haha, Memphis was denied. They're not worthy. And I think it's more about the timing on both sides to what you just said than it is about anything else. So I don't think it's correct to judge Memphis that they're not worthy of the Big 12. I think the timing, they wanted to get there because they want to be in an A4 conference before governance. And at the same time, the A4 is like, we want to wait for the new governance to know who has the power before we add other partners. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. That's the way I view it. I don't think it's negative on Memphis at all. I think what they offered was incredible, but at the same time, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Big 12 said no. I think it's just there's so many unknowns right now that until we get these questions answered, everybody just wants to stand pat. That's where I'm at with it. And whether it's the Big 12, the ACC, the whomever, like we got to get through these. You and I have talked about a three-legged stool. We only have one of the three legs. Until we get the three legs, we're not going anywhere. And whether that's in 2 months or 6 months or never, we don't know that yet. And it's too much of a risk to do this right now. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
And I think we're seeing that reflected all up and down the different levels of major college football right now. we've compared that. We talked to Gloria this week about future expansion. We asked about FCS. I think we see it there where the mountain, and maybe they have some other things going on, some litigation and such. But we've seen that kind of a delay where everyone wants to get this governance wrapped up. We want to decide how many teams are going to be in FBS. What are the levels going to be? What are the power levels going to be? Um, and so everybody's kind of in a pause mode right now, just waiting on this governance issue. For the longest time, the House settlement was holding everything up. Now we're moving forward, and just like you mentioned, three-legged stool. Now we've got governance and we've got the legislation going. And for me, right now, I think governance is the big thing holding things up, like Immaculate has talked about. But once we get that locked in, they may still then just say, you know what, let's wait until we see what the legislation is going to look like and what the landscape is going to look like. So it's just kind of a waiting game. Everyone's kind of on pause right now.
So I'm on my phone. I might lose you, but I'm also on my computer. So if you lose my phone, I'm joined in. I just feel like I have better connection and stuff with my phone. So if you lose me, I'll be right back. Keep doing your thing. Immaculate is in the chat, and this parlays right into the American, and that's why I want to go to next. We have a couple people talking about the American. Immaculate says, funny thing is, we would have all gone without ever knowing about this and thinking all about or this about Memphis if someone didn't feel like leaking this out to the public a month later. And again, I want to be really clear about the timeline of this. This didn't happen yesterday or 2 days ago. This has been a month or more that this actually occurred with Memphis in the Big 12. And then I think somebody else goes on to say, rumbling, CDS says, leaking it on the day the American is announced. Again, what they did with to rebrand, but leaking it on the day the American is announced was evil. That's I like being kind of funny like that. So well done, rumbling. But like the timing of this is interesting. Who leaked this? I talked about that with Immaculate. Like, was this Memphis? Was this the AAC? Was this the Big 12? Why was it leaked when it was? Like, really interesting stuff here, Steve. So let me ask you first about the leak and the timing of the leak, and then let's get to kind of the American information. What are your thoughts on why maybe and the timing of why this was leaked when it was? Because Immaculate and I talked about this as well. Like, this was done like this was like a BCC email. Like, everybody got this at the same time. When you were on X, everybody was X tweeting about this. Ross, Amanda, McMurphy, blah 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 blah, Thamel, everybody was talking about this literally at the exact same time, within minutes of everybody else. So somehow this got leaked in a known and planned way, because it wasn't just Ross saying something. This was everybody saying something. Do you have any comments or thoughts on that?
I think there's a few different possibilities. People who leak things, it's generally it's not out of the goodness of their heart. It's because they want to control the narrative, control the story in some kind of way. So it could be somebody from the Big 12 who, the SEC, they knew the SEC had gotten a lot of attention last week. They knew Big Ten and ACC was going to get a lot of attention. They want to just have out there, hey, these teams are trying to pay $200 million to join us. We're the cat's meow. Who knows? Could have been somebody who was trying to they knew the American announcement was coming out and they were trying to crap on that a little bit. Could have been somebody from Memphis because they basically putting the world on notice, like they're trying to get to the A4 and they're willing to do whatever it takes. I think there's a lot of different possibilities. I don't know. I can't say definitively, but to me, and I know we're going to talk about the American a little bit more. I don't think this doesn't say anything at all about the American. I saw some people tweet out, oh, they're willing to pay $200 million to get out of the American Conference. No, they're willing to pay $200 million to get into the A4. If they just wanted to leave the American, they could go to the pack. There are other suitors out there. If they just want to get out of the American, I think this more just says more about Memphis, what they're trying to do, what their goals are, and what they're willing to do to get to the A4.
Love it. I agree. They want. I mean, this is not rocket science. They want out of the American. They just do. I think they have it pretty good in the American. They don't have it as good as a P4 or an A4 program, but they have it as good as almost any other G6 program that they have. And I think that they felt like this was the time to do that. So let's get to the American.
Can I just say real quick?
Yeah,
The way you just presented it, you said they want out of the American. I don't think that that's the way, honestly, to present it. I think the way to present it is they really want to be in the A4 and they want it to happen now. That, in my opinion, I think there's a distinction there. It kind of the grass is greener on the other side. The grass might be nice where they're at, but they're seeing some better grass, some with some more money and more bennies over on the other side.
well, let's get to the American, and then I want to get to the Mountain West. So, the American, just kind of unraveled this rebrand. They're now the American. I gotta switch my gears and not call them the AAC any longer, and call them the American, which honestly I love because I always got the ACC and the AAC mixed up. So let's just talk about the American. I love that for me on the pod. Um, of course, they have this eagle. They kind of this just whole rebranding. I kind of gave my opinions out on this on X a little bit. I want to hear from you, Steve. What are your thoughts on where the American is at right now? And if this is worthwhile in terms of what they've done here to rebrand the conference.
Yeah, I think so I said on X earlier, this is to me, this is the rebranding is just kind of the capstone on what I think has been pretty successful last 2 years for them. They took some hits when they lost a bunch of programs to the Big 12, and if you're not the Big 10 and you're not the SEC right now, everybody is taking hits. Everyone it either has lost some crucial members or is in jeopardy of losing crucial members. Um, I think that they've rebounded pretty well from that, and this rebranding was just kind of to put the icing on the cake or whatever. I think they positioned themselves well. If you look at the G6 right now, and Immaculate and I kind of went back and forth on Twitter about this earlier. I think they're the best positioned G6 conference. I think having Army and Navy within the conference, I mean, that draws huge national attention. And I think they're going all in this whole like American and the Eagle America, all that stuff on that branding, which I think is great. We had some people ask us why the Mountain West doesn't kind of brand a little more heavily on having Air Force. Um, and the American right now, and I think that's a good question. I maybe that's an area where the Mountain West could get better and really branding having Air Force there. They're going all in on building the conference around UNLV and Air Force. So maybe that's an area they will look at further. And the Americans going all in my opinion, having Army and Navy, and I think around those two, the best collection of G6 programs that anyone else has been able to put together, and they're going all in the branding. They faced a kind of an existential crisis. The pack, who's trying to rebuild into, what they said originally, they wanted to rebuild basically a Power Five conference again. They went after some American Conference programs, and they missed, multiple targets, and the American was able to keep those. So to me, that is a huge win. And yeah, and if you compare the American to where it was 5 years ago before they lost all those teams to the Big 12 and some other places, yeah, they're not as strong as they were, but that's kind of irrelevant to the conversation, in my opinion. Moving forward, as we move forward with governance, we can see the A4. I don't think necessarily they're going to break away, but they're going to establish themselves as that top tier. And who's next? And to me, the American has positioned themselves very well to be the best of the rest. So I like it. I think they're doing a good job.
I agree. I think they're trying to be. I mean, I'm going to use a word from Teresa Gould and the pack. Transformative. I mean, they were the first G6 conference to have a minimum revenue share. I think that's a big deal. You know, they're rebranding right now. They're doing the things that I would think that a conference would do to be transformative. And I'm just going to throw this out there. We're going to have Commissioner Pernetti on in the next few weeks. I've reached out. I've asked him to join us on the Big Mountain. He has said yes. We're going to ask him some of these questions. This will be the, I believe, fifth commissioner, Steve, that we've had on the Big Mountain. Of course, Gloria Navarez has been on twice. We've had Butterly, we've had Wistersill. We're now going to get the American commissioner, Pernetti, on the Big Mountain. We can ask him some of these questions. So, a big drop here for our live show dwellers. You know, we're moving up in the world. Like, you know, we got Gloria a couple times. We're going to get Tim now. And you know, I don't want to assume we can ask him these questions, right?
Absolutely. Oh, I think we lost JY. We'll try and get him connected here. Back again. He's camping. He's out at the beach. We got our producer at home at the wheel. To keep us on track. When we lost JY, he's trying. Okay, so we got a poll. Let's put our first poll up. This was one of JY's polls here. Okay, so poll number one. Were you surprised that Okay. So actually, so we're gonna go with a poll as JY tries to reconnect. Since we were just talking about the American, let's go with this poll. The producer has it ready. What are your thoughts on the American rebrand? Is it a great idea, positive opinion, neutral, no opinion, or not needed? Maybe a negative opinion. So let's producer's gonna put that poll up, and it looks like JY is back on.
My bad. You know, I had two polls and we get rolling and I screwed up the pooch because here I am in a camper in Cape May, New Jersey. And I thought I was all cool. I had the Mountain West background and now I'm just in my camper. But yes, let's get the poll up. We'll do what we can. Sorry, my producer, I screwed the pooch on the first poll. But we're gonna get the first poll up as well because you know that's what we do. But yeah, put the poll up. What are your thoughts are? So I apologize. I dropped you guys. My phone died on me. But I you know, do I like the eagle? Nah, whatever. It is what it is. To me, it's more kiddie than anything. But it's moving the conference forward. I think they're at the forefront of what we're going to see on multiple levels, and I'm anxious to see what happens here with the American. Like, people want to crap on it, and that's fine. But I think they're trying to move forward. They're trying to be innovative, if you want to call it that. They're trying to be at the forefront of the G6, and I give them credit for that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I give them credit, and the commissioner a ton of credit for what they're trying to do. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to grade it, but I at least I appreciate what they're doing. I guess that's where I'm at with it, Steve.
Yeah, and honestly, so I would compare this if you those there's those like house flipper shows or whatever where they go in, they rebuild a house, they tear it down, and the last step is they're going to have someone come in and decorate it real nice so they can show it off. This is that step. They're just trying to decorate, make it look pretty, but what they've been doing over the last 2 years, I think, was kind of building the foundation for what they want to be moving forward. And you mentioned it, the setting the threshold. They were the first conference to set a minimum threshold to say, this is where we want to be. This is who we want to be. We're all going to opt into the revenue sharing. When that was an open question. Like there was even question in the Big Ten. Are all the Big Ten with the revenue they get, were they all going to opt in? Which I thought was crazy. But the American came out and said, we're all opting in. We're going to have a minimum level of threshold. We want everybody, all of our teams to get to, I think it's by 2028, something like that,
Yep.
of $10 million revenue sharing. And that's going to put them again, if they're able to accomplish everything that they've done, if they can actually make it work and pull it off, they're going to be positioned to be the best of the rest, the best G6 program, and I can't knock them for that. And honestly, I get it. The Eagle, it's a little bit of that like corny America branding or whatever, but that's worked. We stay away from politics, but if you look at the national landscape, the whole, America, it's become cool again to be,
Yeah.
patriotic and prideful, wear corny America stuff all the time. They went for it. They went all in. And I can't knock them for
All right, Steve, here's where I'm at. I'm on vacation. I need another beer.
it.
So I gotta give a couple shout outs. First of all, let me turn this damn light off behind me because it's freaking annoying. Yeah, there we go. Gotta look good in Cape May, New Jersey. First of all, Cape May, Big Mountain Koozies. We gave these some of the mountain dwellers that met us up in Vegas. Shout out Tommy Gunn. Shout out Sergeant Moorhughes. Shout out a college athletic advocate. Is that right?
Yep.
Will.
CAA.
And shout out Las Vegas Larry. I know we've got two of those guys on tonight. They got the cool cozies. I got to give a shout out to our poker chip, Steve, because these suckers, hold on, let me see what I can do here. These babies were hot at the Las Vegas Mountain West Media Days. They got a poker chip. They got the TBM. If anybody watched our Dan Mullen interview, he literally was ready to play poker with me during the interview. He went, brah, brah, brah. I'm like, show me poker chip moves. Like, show me what you got, bro. But the coolest thing is they got the freaking, look at that. They got the QR code on the back, and the players love these suckers, and we'll have more legit poker chips. They're not worth anything other than, you and I love TBM, but
They're very rare. There's only like 150 in existence.
100%. That's what I'm talking about. And so the players loved them, and Dan Mullen loved these suckers. There they are. Dan Mullen loved these suckers. And I got to be honest, Steve, they turned out pretty damn hot.
Yeah, they were awesome. Everybody they were popular. They were the hot ticket item to get.
Yeah.
At Mountain West Media Days, you had to get that TBM poker chip. I just want to throw it back. You mentioned the dwellers who met us, Zombie Brews.
Yes,
Zombie.
Beer Zombies
in Las Vegas was fantastic. Their selection was fantastic. It was just a great place. They had a pizza truck outside bringing us pizza. I mean, beer and pizza. What else can you ask for? We had 4 dwellers this year for our first annual kind of meet and greet at the Mountain West. Next year, let's at least double that, maybe triple that, and get some more dwellers to meet with us.
Well, let's close. We have 27 votes, and we have over 50 people watching, but that's okay. Let's close the first poll, and then I'm gonna back up to our other poll since I forgot all about it. So we've got, and this is in terms of the American rebrand. We've got it's pretty split, Steve. We got 37% neutral. They really don't have much opinion on it. We've got 33% saying it wasn't needed, / negative opinion. We have only 29% saying it was a great idea with a positive opinion. I'm probably in between, like the positive neutral. Like, I don't think it was a bad idea. Honestly, the ACC, AAC alone, like, let's correct that. Like, that was an issue for me. So if they did this for the Big Mountain, I'm good to go. But I also get it. Like, you got to do stuff to be relevant, to be different, to be in the news. I'm on a, great idea might be a little overstatement, but I'm on the positive side of this. I think it was a good idea. I think they need to kind of promote their brand, and I'm good with it. Like, I think I'm positive about it.
Yeah, and I think if college football fans just look at it on its own, just the rebranding with no context, I get why people be kind of ambivalent about it. Like, okay, we were already calling you the American anyways. But again, the way I look at it is in the context of what has happened the last 2 years, what they're trying to do, setting that minimum investment threshold, all of that. And this is just basically this is the open house at the end of their kind of rebuild for me. So I choose to look at it that way as in the context of what they've done, how they position themselves to be, I think maybe the premier G6 program going forward. I
Yeah.
know, and we have Pack fans, and I love them out there. And the Pack tried to do their thing. They've been hoping to get Memphis and Tulane. It didn't work out. The American has survived, and to me, those two are kind of like the top programs. And the American has or top conferences in the G6, and the American has kind of held on to that spot, which I think is great for them.
Well, let's get to the Mountain West Media Days. I see people asking about what the Mountain West maybe mascot would be. I see Sasquatch. I see a whole bunch. Oh, I see a mountain goat. A lot of other different things. So yeah, that would be kind of fun for the Mountain West to do something like that. As we know, Steve, there's a lot of mountain content and ideas that you can have. Of course, we have the mountain. We have the cellar dweller here. We've got the dweller brews, as we call them. I'm in Cape May. I have put multiple brew stickers up, dweller brew stickers up here in New Jersey. There's a lot of content here with the mountain. And so Fia says, do you think the Mountain West needs a rebrand? And people are just saying, like, straight up the mountain. Like, you've got the American, you've got the mountain. I don't think they need a rebrand. The Mountain West is pretty original, but I appreciate our dwellers giving us some ideas. I can tell you one thing for sure. I'm going to go get another brew because that's how I roll, Steve. And why don't you get started? Here we're going to go into the final segment of the night, the debrief of the Mountain West Media Days. But before we do that, we have another Just Justin $20 super chat. So I can't leave. When Just Justin drops a super chat, this is legit. So Just Justin Steve says, JY and Steve, after visiting with Coach Sawvell and the players, are you more optimistic about Wyoming and their upcoming season, or about the same before the interview? I know where I'm at on this, Steve, and so it was interesting. This is a great question to get us into the last segment here, Steve. So let me preface this, Justin, with kind of how things worked at the media days. So as you saw on our videos, I was at our radio row table. Steve was very kind. I wanted him to interview one-on-one several coaches, but he said, no, you need to sit at the table and do your thing. So I did that. And I appreciate Steve for doing that. And so I had that one-on-one interaction, just the two of us, where Steve was in the interview room, the press / I don't remember what it was called, interview room. So Steve sometimes either got to have some one-on-ones if he got there early, or he had other people, kind of like fighting for questions. And when it came to Dan Mullen, it was a damn fiasco. Like, Steve's like, I can't do it, which, props to him. So Steve did what he could do, and he did a fantastic job getting the interviews that he got. But I got the one-on-one. So I'm going to give this answer first, Steve. And then when I go get a brew, I'm going to let you give your answer. But again, this is about Coach Sawvell. And if we're more optimistic with Wyoming for the upcoming season than we were before the interview. So let's parlay this with both Coach Sawvell and with the two players, right? J. Mike and Jack Walsh. I will say I'm absolutely, and it's not just that, but we had a lot of interaction, honestly, off camera with multiple schools, contingencies, probably Wyoming, maybe more than most, but we had Ryan Thorborn on our live show. I will say I am 100% more optimistic than I was before Mountain West Media Days. Now, does that mean they're going to go 12-0? No, that doesn't mean they're going to go 12-0. But I think Jay Salvel knows what went wrong. I'm going to be super blunt about this. He knows what went wrong with us last year. He knows what he took for granted that he shouldn't have taken for granted last year. And I also think the players know, and probably more importantly, the players know what they took for granted and didn't really try to push forward with. They absolutely have a sour taste in their mouth from last year. That is not a typical Wyoming Cowboy team that we saw last year. And, I will also, and again, not to make excuses, you look at their out of conference schedule, and, I'm a hard 2-2 preseason, but you look at who they played after the season, you look at what Arizona State did in their conference game, you look at BYU, what they did, they were much better teams than where we thought they were going to be preseason. Again, not making excuses because there were significant issues with the Cowboys. But I am absolutely, Justin, more optimistic today than I was a week ago pre those meetings. And again, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up that they're going to have, some crazy 10-2 season, but they're definitely not going to have a 3-9 season. Like that, I am confident in saying that. And I think Sava and the players have taken that on themselves to be like, wait a minute, timeout. This is not who we are. This is not acceptable. And we have to get back to what we expect from the Wyoming Cowboys. I'll be doing a preseason, schedule and Mountain West preview here in the next 2 weeks. I can't tell you what I'm going to say with that, but I will say it definitely alleviated some of my kind of just cultural concerns with the program. And I think that's where, even in 1 year, that's how quick that can turn in any program. Like Wyoming is super solid with culture and who they are. And in 1 year like that, that's how quick that can turn. Last year is not who the Cowboys are. That's not who Jay Sawvell is. And I really think you're going to see the true Cowboys on the field this year for a whole bunch of reasons. But Steve, I'd love to hear what you say. And let me just also say, Steve said this in our recap. The coaches were awesome. They would answer any question that we had. And let me just tell you, J. Mike and Jack Walsh were combined some of the two best player interviews that we had throughout media days as well. And you can tell, like, last year wasn't who they are. Like they're above that. And so I'm very positive about the Cowboys this year. And I've bloviated long enough. Steve, have at it.
Well, and I think I can kind of have maybe a more neutral perspective on this. JY
Yeah.
is obviously as a Wyoming Cowboy fan, so he feels the emotion of the highs and the lows. And for me, I can just look at a neutral observer. I'm a Big Ten fan. I have a soft spot for the Mountain West, but I can just look at it a little more neutral. And again, just starting with what kind of Justin asked was, after talking to Jay Sawvell, so I got to be in kind of a media scrum with him, where there's 4 or 5 other guys asking questions, I'm asking questions, and I was impressed. First of all, I was impressed. He basically he took accountability for last year, and he said I didn't do a good job last year. I didn't do enough. And I think that was kind of the growing pains of a first year head coach. There's a difference between being a defensive coordinator and being a head coach. You're a defensive coordinator, you can worry about schematic stuff, just your units. You don't have to worry about all the big picture items that comes with being the head football coach at a Division I program, which is more like a CEO job, honestly, with all the things they have to worry about. So I thought Sawvell was very honest, took accountability for what he didn't do right and why, and how he was going to do things different. So first of all, I mean that's a huge That's a huge step. Before you can change your behavior, you have to admit, what was wrong, and he's taken that step. So I thought that was huge. And just I think the situation is totally different this year. I think he's going to have a total different approach. The players are pissed off. Himself and the players, they kind of, like JY said, took things for granted last year. Oh, we got all these guys coming back. We're just going to continue to build on a success. And this year it's a new approach. They are all pissed off. They're coming off of a season where they none of them met their expectations. They're pissed off about it, players and coaches, and they're going to do what it takes to improve. Now, does that mean, winning 9, 10 games? Probably not. I think again, but I would see this team definitely having a winning record, getting to a bowl game. We'll see how they do. But I think again, I loved hearing the coach take accountability. And it wasn't just coach speak. It wasn't like, oh, I didn't do a good enough job. I'm going to do better this year. He really talked about, if you watch those interviews, he really talked about like some of the little things, talking to players about preparing their body and keeping their, over the summer, keeping their bodies fresh so that they can work out, because that's over the summer is where they're going to make those gains, to be ready for the season. In season, you're just trying to hold on and be healthy. And so he's talked about basically more intrusive leadership of the team, not just assuming, oh, they know what decisions to make and how to make it because they're we got a bunch of seniors and they're cowboy tough and all this kind of stuff. Just being a more intrusive leader, and leading his players in all of those little areas that it takes to put together a team. So I was impressed with him and his approach. I was impressed with the players. And again, I think he will be an improved coach this year. I think they're going to have an improved situation at quarterback. Not to make excuses last year, but they thought the quarterback situation was going to be a certain way. That didn't work out. We started with some real tough games. Arizona State, like you mentioned, was picked last in the Big 12 last year, ends up winning the Big 12. BYU was fantastic. So they had some tough games. Quarterback situation didn't work out. This year, I feel like they have a much more set situation at quarterback moving into the season, and just a more realistic expectation of what they are, what they can do, and how they're going to accomplish it. So yeah, if you're a Wyoming fan, I think you should be positive this year that at least they're going to go back to playing tough Wyoming football, not make a bunch of mistakes. Probably more wide open offense. He talked about that as well. Um,
Yeah.
some stuff with the offense. But again, tough Wyoming football, and just moving in a positive trend this year. Definitely see them having a winning record, getting to a bowl game. I think they're going to be able to do what it takes to make that happen.
Well, we want to get to some of your questions, so make sure you put them in the cellar. I'm going to go through these, Steve. I do want to. We gave a shout out to an interview we're going to be doing with the commissioner of the American. We're also going to be having interviews with GCU's athletic director, Jamie Boggs. It will be her second time on the podcast. Of course, this time being after they are admitted to the Mountain West here in 25-26. We have a lot of questions to ask her. I'm super excited to have Jamie back on the pod. I've also reached out to the Colorado State athletic director. He has also said yes, he's anxious for an interview with us. So we have some big interviews coming up, Steve. We've got, as I said, Colorado State AD, GCU AD, and commissioner of the American coming up on the Big Mountain. So I'm super excited. So put your questions in the chat. We will get to those. I do want to get to the first poll. If our producer's able to go back, I apologize. See, I get excited. And by excited, I mean I'm drinking Cape May Brewery because that's my top dollar brew. But if we can go back to the poll here, thank you, producer. See, this is how this works when we have a top-notch producer. He's able to get back and go right at it. But this goes back to Memphis. Were you surprised that Memphis took a swing at the Big 12 membership here? So yes, you were surprised that they did this. No, you were not surprised that they took a swing at Big 12 membership. We'll leave that up for a while. We already have almost 15 votes in, and let us know what you think. We'll get back to that here in a minute. But I want to get to some questions, Steve, because this is about just, asking us about Mountain West Media Days. We did an awesome kind of like summary recap video that came out today. If you didn't see that, please check it out. Our producer did a bang up job on that. And of course, we even got to say "In Gloria We Trust" with the Commissioner Navarez standing in between us. That was your idea, and we got to do that. So here's some questions. Let me get to them. I'm going to ask them, Steve. You can give your first thought. First question from Fia. Do you think the Mountain West needs a rebrand? Yes or no?
I would say no. I think they're pretty good where they're at. I think the mountain, the whole mountain thing, I think is great for kind of telling what they are, and also having the West in there. Like you and I have talked about, there's an appetite for football in the western half of the country. People like to stay up late, watch football, all of that. I think for where they're at, I think their branding is just fine now. As they move forward with the new programs, if they want to tweak that a little bit, cool. I just don't think you'll see something as dramatic as what the American has done.
Agree. I'm. Oh, call me a homer. I'm okay with the Mountain West brand. I like everything about it. If they want to use a Sasquatch or a Yeti or a eagle, well, they can't use an eagle. Something else, I'm okay with that, but I don't think there's anything wrong unless they want to use the big mountain, because then we may have something to say about that, Steve. I don't know, but
if they want to use the big mountain and pay us $1 million, then we can see what we can see.
I mean, I would take it for much less than that, but you will drive that negotiation, no doubt about that. Okay, Tommy Gunn says, this is tough, Steve. I don't think I can answer this question, but maybe we can answer it in a different way than it's worded. Tommy Gunn says, who was the most boring head coach to interview? Do you have any thoughts on, I hate to say who was the most boring, but maybe thoughts just on coach interviews? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody was necessarily boring. There were some ones that I thought were they were just different than what I expected.
Yeah.
Coach Bronco Mendenhall, I came into that interview wanting to be tough on him of, hey, you're 1 year with the Lobos, you're moving on. I wanted to ask him tough questions about the player portal, like, if you get to move around every year, why shouldn't players? And I thought he had some great answers to the questions that were just honest and human. So that was, he was different than I expected. And then, with the Colorado State coach, Jay Norvell, correct?
Norvell, yep.
Yeah. I thought he was great. Boy, the beat reporters were asking him tough questions about, when are you going to win enough games? What's your contract situation like? Do you deserve a new contract based on your record? And I mean, he took every question, was open and honest, didn't flinch. The dude didn't flinch. These guys were coming after his job, and he didn't flinch. I thought that was impressive. And again, the way he answered it, he didn't give some canned PR answer. He spoke honestly and truthfully about it, which I thought was great. And then, San Diego State is the tough first year for Sean Lewis. He didn't duck any of that. Like, he was honest about everything, about what he wanted to do, what he was trying to accomplish, where it went wrong. And he said, look, I want to coach here a long time, so I need to get my act together and we need to start winning some games. So I would say those three were just surprisingly different than what I expected. But I wouldn't say any of them were boring. They're all just so different and unique in different ways.
Spot on. I did not get to meet one-on-one with Bronco Mendenhall. I thought your conversation with him was amazing. Like, I hear you. Like, you wanted to be hard on him, but from the the get-go. He was honest. He was man to man about it. He did not want to leave the Lobo. Like, you got that from the first 10 seconds. Like, so I didn't get to meet Bronco, but I was super impressed with the conversation you had with him. So massive props to that guy. I've always been kind of a fan of his, but I'll tell you what, 1 year with the Lobos and what he's kind of gone through and the answers he gave you were phenomenal. Like, one-on-one, personal, deep answers. And so I 100% agree with you on Bronco. And Lewis, so straight up, I did not ask for a one-on-one with Lewis with San Diego State. We got one, which was fine. I was impressed with him. Like, he had energy. He was ready to go. Like, even questions where I was maybe, I asked him about the hand he was dealt. He's like, "This is my hand. Like, I'm the guy." Like, he was really impressive. I really appreciated Sean Lewis way more than I thought. Like, expectations are huge. Like, you expect big things, and if you're a little disappointed, it's like this huge disappointment. I was really impressed with Lewis. Props to that. And the guys that I had big expectation for honestly met them. Spencer Danielson is amazing. What you see on screen is what you get in person. I cannot speak highly enough of that individual. Spencer Danielson is the real freaking deal. Like, and I know the question was about boring head coaches. We're kind of going the other way with it, but like, Spencer Danielson was on. Dan Mullen was awesome. Like, that dude, Steve didn't even get into him in the interview room. He was surrounded. Of course, we're local, right? We're at Las Vegas, and he's a UNLV guy. Local people, just local news companies. I mean, it was crazy. And he went for an hour and a half straight in the room that Steve was at, nonstop. You saw what he was with me, playing with poker chips, just having a good time. I get it. He was at Florida. He was, with ESPN. He's seasoned, but let me tell you, he was also extremely impressive. So I don't want to say anybody was boring. I think they were all great. Spencer Danielson, like, I just got to tell you guys, he's amazing. The dude he just gives off this energy. Hopefully you saw that with both my interview and with Steve's interview. Like, if I had to rank one, I'd have to put Spencer. I don't want to do that, but like, it was just, we had a really good one-on-one conversation. Mullen was the same way. I will say, I think, unfortunately, Coach Ken didn't come across great. Part of it was my mic issue. And he's just a soft-spoken guy, super genuine guy, but soft-spoken guy. So he's not boring. He has a lot of really good things to say. But in terms of being that bombastic energy, that's not what you're going to get out of Coach Ken. So I don't want to say that's boring. It's just who he is. You can gain a lot of information from him, but that's kind of where I'm at. I think with all of that. So,
Yeah.
Do you have anything else there, Steve? I'll get to more questions.
Yeah, Coach Ken, very just kind of mellow, chill dude. I
Yeah.
loved. I talked to you about this. I'm a Disney person, and I love the Polynesian culture. And I got the quote. My favorite quote from him was "Ohana means family," which was
Yes.
awesome. I loved it. And that's what his players talked about. So that's maybe not as exciting as, like, talking about, like, oh, we're going to score this many touchdowns or whatever. And then the other one, Coach Calhoun, when you're coaching Air Force, you're coaching a service academy. It's just different. There was not and myself, I'm just as guilty. There was not as many questions for him about, particular players and personnel and schematic stuff and all that. A lot of the questions were just more about, what is it like to coach at a service academy and leadership and all that kind of stuff. So some people may have found that a little boring if they wanted more meat and potatoes football talk. But both guys just amazing guys, and a lot of respect for both. I would say no boring interviews, and I agree with what you said about Spencer Danielson. And I'm gonna tell give our dwellers a little inside look with Spencer Danielson. Well, not only was he so awesome and genuine when we interviewed him, that he came up to us 4 or 5 times, just
100%.
took us aside and was like, "Hey,
Yep.
thank you guys. Thank you for your questions. I appreciate what you're doing." It was just a dude. He's just a dude. A great guy, a football dude, and wears his heart on his sleeve and is genuine as can be.
Of any coach that when he walked past our booth, our radio row table, would always acknowledge us. And this isn't a shot at anybody else. You would fist bump Spencer. He'd thank us, and maybe he did that for everybody. I don't know. But Spence, 100% Steve, I was blown away. I had high expectations for Spencer because you see how he gives his interviews and the energy. We talked about that at the beginning of my interview with him. The dude is super genuine. I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character overall, and the dude has incredible character. I was blown away by that individual. Again, I spoke to expectations. I already had a fairly high expectation of what Spencer Danielson would be, and he exceeded that expectation. Again, not a knock on anybody else, but massive shout out to Spencer Danielson. Great dude.
And I think it really speaks to the six. I mean, Boise's had a lot of success for a long time, and I said that in our interview and my questions to him, and he's continued that success. But
yeah,
it speaks to the way when he became the head coach in the middle of a season, when times were tough, and you're not judged on how you perform when things are going great. You're judged on how you perform, what you do when things are going bad. And that
yeah,
dude stepped into a bad situation
yeah,
for Boise, comparable to their normal success. And it just speaks to why his players bought in right away. There was
yeah,
no drop back. There was no reset. He right away took control and moved them forward. And I think just again his personality and how genuine he is, really. And I have no idea, is he a great X and O coach? I have no clue, but you can
right,
tell that he's a leader, and
yeah.
his players, those young men, follow him because he's a natural leader.
100%. So, a couple other questions. We're going to wrap it up. I know we're getting over an hour and a half. So, one question was about how about an interview with Teresa Gould? We have requested. I have been told in the future, and the future just hasn't come yet. So, maybe someday we will get Teresa on. Would love to have her on. I think we're very respectful of everyone that we have on the channel. Would love to have Teresa on our pod here at some point. So thank you, JEH, for that question. David asks about the North Dakota State Athletic Director Larson. Would love to have him on as well. Maybe at some point we can get him on. I did make a request a little while back, was told that the timing wasn't right, but I can certainly try and do that again. Would love to have him on. Let me just check if there's any other questions here, Steve, and we can wrap this up.
Hey, JY, I want to throw
Yep.
another behind the scenes look for
Go
our
ahead.
dwellers.
Yep.
So we get, and we talked about this on maybe our live show last week. I can't remember. But first question out in Gloria Navarez's the commissioner's address to kick it
Yeah.
off. Just kind of a douchebag question from a Fox News reporter. I mean, that's the only way I can classify it. I wanted to go tell the guy off. JY held me back.
I had to hold Steve back, everybody. Believe it or not, I had to hold Steve back.
Yeah, I was ready to go over to that dude and just tell him off. But I didn't. And I thought the commissioner handled it really well. And honestly, just kind of two things. The way she handled it's a tricky situation. We're like in the middle of a divorce, where half the family is going to be leaving and going and living in a new house kind of thing. here soon, but I thought she handled it with class and with grace and really well. And I'll say they did a thing. They call it the family picture, where they had all the coaches up there of all the programs. You know, the programs are going to be staying, programs are going to be leaving, all together, one big family picture. And honestly, I think you can tell when the coaches are together, like they don't care about all this other stuff. They
Yep.
like each other. They have good camaraderie. They just want to focus on football
Yep.
and coaching their teams. And I get the feeling like, if the coaches and the ADs maybe could make some of these decisions, I think college football would be in a lot better place. And I was just impressed again, the way they all got along and their camaraderie and all that stuff.
Well, let's close the last poll. I forgot to do that. Let's close the last poll. We'll tell everybody what everybody thinks about Memphis. But yeah, I was asked about if it was awkward, and to that point, Steve. I mean, was it? I mean, did everybody know what the elephant in the room was? Yeah, I guess they did, but it wasn't awkward. I think the coach's, photo was what it always is. We have nothing to go on. It was our first media days, but I don't think it was awkward at all. Like you saw coaches just doing their thing, and yeah, I'm with you on that. I did not feel much awkwardness at all. I will say, we were hoping for an interview that we didn't get, and it is what it is. We've offered that up again via Zoom. We'll see if we can, actually get it. And again, it is what it is. I know everybody's busy. We try to be fair. I think we are very fair in our interviews. I don't think we have any gotcha questions or anything like that. We want to, just get information as much as people can provide. So here's the question was, were you surprised that Memphis took a swing at the Big 12 membership? 66%, so 2/3 of our voters say no, they weren't surprised. I wasn't surprised. Again, we talked about the timing of that, and I'm going back here about 45 minutes ago, but we talked about that, and I wasn't surprised at all. I think they're trying to figure out what they can do, what options that they have. But anyway, I apologize that poll got out a little bit late, but yeah, I appreciate everybody's questions. Steve, any last comments you have?
I'm ready for football season. We're gonna start making picks. We're gonna start giving picks, giving season predictions. I'm ready for football to start. I think we're basically 1 month and a week until week one games. I think it's kind of ironic that the kickoff for us for my first game that I'm going to be at is Penn State hosting Nevada.
I love
Um,
it.
I, yeah, I asked Coach Choate about going to Happy Valley and all that kind of stuff, which just got me ready for football. I'm ready. Let's go. I can't wait. When you get back from vacation, we're going to have a sprint to the end and get ready for this football season.
Well, here's what I think we need to do here for week one. I think you're going to be in Happy Valley, and I
Hmm.
think we need to get you media credentials for Nevada, and you do your thing. I'm going to try to travel to Akron to get Wyoming versus Akron on that Thursday night game, week one. And I think we're going to crush it, Steve, because what we did, Steve. I told our mountain dwellers that 2025 was going to be fantastic, and we're July 23rd, and we've done a lot, but I feel like we could do more. So if we can get some media credentials, let's get this done up in here.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm going to be in the game one way or the other. I've got as our dollars know, I've got season tickets, so I'll be there one way or the other. But yeah, we'll see if we can get some media credentials this year. This Mountain West Media Days, that was our first credentialed event with real media credentials. That was awesome. And someone was, I forget who it was teasing me about wearing my media credentials loud and proud last week during the live show. Heck yeah, I'm proud of what we've accomplished these last 2 years. Just two guys in a basement talking college football. It's been great, and our producer PWB has helped us through this, and I appreciate him so much. I'm glad
Yep.
we decided to do this. We're starting now, I guess, our third season, which is
Yep.
amazing, and I'm thankful to our dwellers basically, all those super chats and all that stuff. You guys funded us. This is like a crowdfunding thing. You guys funded us to go to Vegas, go to Mountain West Media Days so we could interview all these coaches, players live for you. It was so awesome, such a great experience. So thank you to our dwellers. And, I'm just excited for season 3 coming up.
So here's my hope, Steve. Next year, because you got to dream big. You got to dream big. You got to either go. We're going to go Mountain West Media Days. That's like 90% a given. And I feel like we got to parlay this into either the Pac-12 Media Days or the Big Ten Media Days. Like, if we went big this year, and now we're going to go big or go home. Like we're not going home till we're done. Not to mention go home, but our flight was delayed, Steve, and we got to see Yao Ming. We got to see Yao Ming, the tallest MNFer in the NBA ever. I looked over. Steve gave this the weirdest look I've ever seen Steve give. The weirdest look I've ever seen him give. Because Steve is very calm and he's stoic. But he gave this weird look, and I went, what's going on? And I looked over, and I thought this dude was standing on a chair. And then Steve goes, that's Yao Ming. And I go, no, it's not. And the dude turns his head, and I go, oh, shit, that's Yao Ming. And by the time I got my phone out and got to zoom in and be that guy, I got, a close-up picture of Yao Ming. But literally, Yao Ming, Vegas Airport, because we were delayed. And I think we saw some WNBA players there as well. Because remember, the NBA Summer League was going on in Vegas at that time. So there's a lot going on. And there's no place, there's no other place I'd rather be. As Carlos says, go big or go home, baby. Yeah, let's go.
Vegas is where it's at, the sports entertainment capital of the world. We've been talking about that. It's just the gravity well of Las Vegas. That's where it's at. I was excited to get home to my family, whatever, but man, in some ways I'm like, I just want to move here. I want to live at the Circa full time.
I hear you. Well, guess who we got here right at the very end, Steve? We got Sergeant Morhew, again, another dweller who is a member who joined us for our happy hour at Beer Zombies. So we got 3 in here. We got Las Vegas Larry. We got Tommy Gunn. We got Sergeant Morhew. If we had CAA on here, we'd have the full gamut. So good to see you guys out there. Thank you so much, Sergeant. I know Steve has been reading your book. We got a book from Sergeant. We'll give you a shout out next week when we're back in the studio, and I use that word very loosely. And maybe Steve can give us kind of a book review of that. Maybe where you at, Steve?
I'll be prepared. I'm almost done. I'm in the last part. Next week I'll do a book review on this book. I'm enjoying it.
There you go. So I want to thank you guys so much. Again, as Steve said a little bit earlier, you are the reason we went to Las Vegas. Quite frankly, I can't believe we made it to Mountain West Media Days year 2, or quite frankly, pre-year 2 of this channel. The reception we got there in Vegas at Circa with the Mountain West crew and everybody there was amazing. Just completely blown away. Both Steve and I had people coming up to us just saying how much they appreciate this channel, how much they appreciate the content. And, the dwellers on these live streams, Steve, are really the most fun that we have. We're only a few weeks away from picking games. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I just got to give you a shout out real quick to Sergeant Morhew. He gave us a $5 super chat. I better see y'all again next year. I'll tell you what, Steve, it's going to take a hell of a lot to keep me away from Circa Las Vegas for a Mountain West Media Days 2026, because I put a poll out there on X about who you most excited about, the NIU Huskies or the UTEP Miners. I had almost 300 votes, Steve, and guess what? 50-50 split. Everybody's excited about both the Huskies and the Miners joining the good old Mountain West. And Sergeant, you know what? We're coming back out. The plan is to come back out again. We want to do the same thing, if not better, and we will absolutely do another happy hour, Steve. So shout out to Sargent there.
Absolutely.
So hey, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm drinking my my Dweller brew. And we appreciate you guys so much. Make sure, as David Jurgensen says, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you didn't already. I know everybody listening to us right now is already subscribed. If you want to become a member, that's great. We're getting Steve's baby, the Discord up and running. We've gotten some of those invites out as well. Moses is saying NIU, super excited as well. Oh my gosh, Steve, get this. Are you ready for this? This is where we're gonna end.
Okay.
Somebody changed. Are you ready for this? Somebody changed their name, their YouTube name, to I Love JY from the Big Mountain. I love it. Thank you so much. I love JY from the Big Mountain. No way you saw Yao Ming in the airport. We are 99% sure that we saw Yao Ming in the airport. The dude was, first of all, super ridiculously tall. Second of all, the dude said no thank you to any pictures that the people came up and asked for. And then he got the hell out of Dodge. And we're 99% sure it was Yao Ming.
And we saw from about 15 feet away a full side profile. And I've watched a lot of basketball. I know what Yao Ming looks. It was Yao Ming.
And Fia says, everybody loves you too, Steve. We love you as well.
Well, you spoke of the Discord real quick. I don't know if I can get it on here.
There you go. There it is.
We're already Sergeant Morhew and I. We're going to town. I want to have this thing full of dwellers by week 0. Where every week I'll be in here on game days chatting. JY and I both be in there. I'll be talking Big Ten. He'll be talking Mountain West, and we'll probably jump in and talk about each other. We'll be talking Pac, and I'm even going to talk about some Florida State and Clemson. So if we got any Florida State and Clemson dwellers out there, we'll be talking about that as well. But I want to fill this Discord chat up and let's get it going.
So I want to be really clear. I'm really anti Florida State and Clemson because that's not who we are. But Steve tells me we need to have a Florida State and Clemson channel, so we're going to do that. But for those of you that are members already, and I speak to Just Justin, a fellow Wyoming Cowboy fan, please get on the Discord. You've got to send an email to the Big Mountain Pod. Oh no, what is it? Big Mountain Podcast 3, the number 3, Big Mountain Podcast 3 at gmail.com, so we can send you the invitation to join the Discord. So I need at least Just Justin, because he's another Poke fan. I need to talk to somebody when I'm watching the Pokes win yet another game. I need to talk to somebody. So if you're a member, or if you want to be a member, make sure you become a member and then send an email to Big Mountain Podcast 3 at gmail.com. The information in you. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The Big Mountain 3. I didn't say that right. My producers corrected me because I'm an idiot. The Big Mountain 3, number 3. The Big Mountain 3 at gmail.com. Forget the podcast crap because we're just the Big Mountain. Who cares about anything else? The Big Mountain 3 at gmail.com. We'll get you the Discord information. I know Sergeant Morhew has it. I think Joseph Lindley has it. We have some other people that already have it, but I got to get me some Wyoming Cowboy fans. So Just Justin, you got to get on there. You got to be a member. Well, you don't got to be, but you know what I'm saying. And at that point, you know what? It's almost 10:30. We're 2 hours into this. Our producer says, shut the hell up, JY. And I think we got to close it, Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, let's go. Let's shut it down for this week, but we got some exciting stuff. Oh, I'm excited to do our first, I think maybe before week 0, our first Big Mountain Power Rankings. So that's coming up. I'm excited about that.
It is almost August. We are ready for football. Here's what we got. I want to remind everybody. Interviews with AD Boggs, AD for San Jose State University, commissioner for the American, I got to get that right. We're going to have previews for the Big Ten and the Mountain West. We're going to have the power rankings that everybody loves for us to do, Steve. And you know what? I got to stop with this crap and get focused on football because we are ready to go at this point. This is what we do. And next week we're back in studio, aka JY's basement. You good, Steve-O? We're gonna close it out.
I'm good. I'm just gonna close it out with America.
There you go. With that, hey, if you didn't already hit the like button, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe, but you already are. And we'll see you next time on the Big Mountain.